Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the fourth Agile Test. Oh my God, Agentics Foundation meetup here in Serbia in Novi Sad. My name is Dragan Spiridonov, and I'm Agentics quality-oriented engineer. A few words about Agentic Foundation before we proceed. Oh my God. Let me just move these controls somewhere. Okay, like that. So Agentics Foundation is a non-profit organization dedicated to making AI innovation and education open to everyone by supporting the development and deployment of open source agentic AI systems. And what is Agentics? Agentic AI refers to autonomous AI agents capable of independent reasoning and action. And these systems represent the next frontier in applied artificial intelligence, enabling machines to make decisions, adapt to new situations, and collaborate with humans and other agents. What we are doing is open source. It's education first. There are online events, there are in-person events, there are hybrid events like this one where we are recording and later sharing what we are doing. We are oriented to safety, grounded in open source values and responsible AI deployment. And we are community-driven, building the community all over the world. I think we have now more than 20 cities all over the world with different places where the Agentics committee, ambassadors are sharing the words about Agentics Foundation. You can always check the previous recordings of all of the things that was done and recorded and shared by Agentics Foundation. And I did like a small test to see if it will find, one of the videos that I did, because there is an agent on the site that enables you to ask the questions about the videos on the site. So if you are an Agentics organization, why not provide? So it surfaced one of the videos in October when I presented my Agentic Quality Engineering Fleet. Okay, so let's continue where we stopped with the project that we started on the second meetup, where the community selected an application that we will build. So I will, do a short intro for those that were not with us from the start. And let me try to see if I can find the original document. I think at some moment we created, let me see if I can find the PRD document. There should be somewhere. Create PRD. Okay, this is executive summary. This is good enough. So we created initially a plan for project community social network for the Serbian Agentics Foundation and the Started Center. And this is something that we started on our meetup number 2 in November 14, as you can see here. At some point, in the next meetup or in the meetup number 3, we started creating, or I gave instructions to agents to start creating the specification based on the initial requirements. And the original requirements, or the agents produced the specification based on the original requirements. In the last session, we used one of the QE agents, QE requirements validator agent, to do the analysis of the specification that agents created before we continue with the next phase in the development. as I'm using Agentics engineering approach, Spark, for development using agents that goes through 5 phases into project. We just finished first one, and previous session did an evaluation of the results of that session to compare with the original requirements, and we got like an executive decision from agents that we are approved, because overall most of the, let's say, issues identified in the specification we already fixed. So there were some gaps identified in certain areas of the application, but I think we are good to work with this kind of start phase. Or should we do the one more phase of
fit target classifications to make it green?
To make everything green. So based on the validation, executive summary, analyze the why I'm typing. Let me turn this on. I always forget that I can use some helpers. So let me see if this will work. Analyze the current status of the documentation and fix the issues identified. Okay, it added one more. The analyze, let me delete the extra. Okay, nice. Come on. Yeah, that's happening to everybody. Analyze the, okay, we are done. So while it's doing that, let me just again hide the controls and let's see what's happening right now. Claude Code will probably do the analysis itself because I didn't ask to invoke any of the specific agents. For those that are here first time, we are developing this application using the combination of Claude Flow for orchestration of Claude Code agents and Agentic Quality Engineering Fleet in order to check the quality of the outputs of work done by agents. So I will show you now what you are getting when you install Agentic QE Fleet and Claude Flow in your environment. You will get Claude directory with a certain list of agents. I don't know how much you can see. It's small on these screens, but here is I see it quite big. These agents that are inside the folders are part of the Claude Flow orchestration framework. And here is the list of the QE. Outside of the folder are the QE, different types of agents for different types of testing in the software development lifecycle. Oh, I have an idea. I was thinking of a small test to put my fleet at while we are waiting for these things. You see now agent analyzed complete picture and it found the issues and it's looking it will start to fix them. Let's see if it will start any agents. Probably not. I will go to another screen. This is the working environment where I'm developing my QE fleet. Ooh, I didn't know that I got Marketplace installed. That's new. That just happened. So I wanted to fetch a GitHub repo of an open source project that is known for its good quality and to analyze it using my agents and to do the parallel type of analyst for some GitHub repo that is not so famous, maybe, with the quality, or maybe has a lot of bugs reported or something like that. So let's try to first find this kind of repos. Any ideas? Do you have some like known open source that you're using that you know that it has like a code that is well maintained and really good to use? Yes? A Linux kernel itself? Oh, that's a big repo, let's find something smaller. Don't go to operating system immediately, but let's see. Let's see, maybe we can ask. Let's give a Gemini search. No need to do the research, but like search online for GitHub open source projects that are well maintained and with a good code quality. Sorry? Apache Spark. Okay, let's see. So Apache Spark GitHub. Nice. So this has like a lot of stars and everything. Nice. So let's use this as an example. I like how you're thinking. So clone in temp and use QE Fleet with shared memory and learning to analyze code quality, complexity, code smells, security. That should be enough. So that's what I want to show, that it's not too big for this kind of agents. So it will now start, fleet of agents to do this type of analysis. So first it will clone. Let's see what the others are working on. Where is this one? Oh, it's here. So we are sharing the same screen. Let me just put it here. Okay. This one is cloning. Okay. And this one is doing fixes of the problems identified in the original specification. We will do the reevaluation when it's finished. So we will leave it work on that. Let me increase the size of this so you can also see what's happening. No need to, yes?
On the previous the actual project, so we know it's analyzing now or trying to fix certain segments.
Yes.
We parallel tell it to certain implemented segments that we approve already.
You think no, it will just do the fixes for the things that were identified in the document.
Separate.
Yes, we can, but I don't know. I want to finish that and to start with the next phase. I wanted to show you here, how it's starting now. QE Fleet, but not only QE Fleet, it's now using some of the rule swarm MCP calls to enable additional learning for the agents while they are working. And it's initializing the swarm also, defining the memory store that will be shared between the agents while they are doing the analysis. Okay, and now it's starting the agents. Oh, with my click, it did. Okay, it's required. Okay. Let's see now. I never did this combination of the both queue and rule swarm, but let's see now how it will behave. It's interesting to see the results. But I cannot now show you, and that's something I think that, I don't know what Anthropic did, but they are now, because it's running now as a background tasks, all of these. Let me see if I can go and show you from here. Okay, Swarm, you will not be able to do that, but I can take a look at this there. How can I? Okay, it's doing the search. It's doing the, some progress through the, you see, it's looking at Scala and Java, folders, security. Oh, a lot of Scala. Oh, yeah. So, and will do analysis. This is the security scanner. So let's take a look what others are doing. Background tasks, that was the security. This is the code smell, for instance. So this one is going through the code and looking for God classes, long methods, and like feature envies. There is a longer list. I don't know how to show all the content in this window, but it would be interesting to see that. So let them work. And they are doing a lot of work, and they will create a detailed report. But what you can see here is, as they are working, they are doing some also assessment of the work they are working on and seeing if they will learn some of the new patterns. And that's also a thing that I've been working on my fleet, is to enable them to learn. And not only to learn. So let me see. Those are the old ones. Let's see if there is a new. So they are collecting the learning experiences they are working. They are making new memory entries and collecting also the patterns from the Q values, not to forget them, because they need to determine, what is the correct path to take in the trajectory when finding the optimal solution for the proposed problem. And let me see, where is that? And I need to check, but yeah, I started implementing. I don't know where it's saving I need to find it, but there is like a system that calls Nightly Learner that should process this data collected during the day and look for meta patterns by replaying the task that it did and looking for a better solution. And in this way, it can surface something that are called meta patterns, meaning tasks that can be executed with 100% of certainty. In that way, you get a deterministic result for a certain task. So that's something that I'm still testing to see if my fleet will reach and collect. In some of the tests that I've been running, I don't need you. Where is my other? There. Looking what they are fixing. So let's take a look at what this one was fixing. Okay, now it updated. Looks like it did and did the re-evaluation of the fixes, because it's now updating with the latest things. So looks like we are good to go. Let's see. Almost there. We will go then to the pseudocode phase. Okay. A lot of tokens on code smells spent. Yeah. Yeah. Good thing I'm on Claude Max account. But yeah, I implemented also support now for the OpenRouter and some smart routing and some additional things. I'm working on making my fleet independent. Let me see if I can find that. So I have prepared a plan to start working on it soon, is to make the fleet LLM independent, meaning like independent from the vendors. because right now I'm already using some type of local reasoning by utilizing Roof LLM. That's something who was here on the previous session heard about that in combination with Sona. That's also something. Vector memory. This is something that I already have, but I'm, highly locked on the Claude APIs. So this is the plan that I created yesterday to use, depending on the task complexity, different types of models. If I'm using locally through Ollama on my machine, I can combine this set of models. And my plan is then to start to train them more for the specific tasks. And in that way, really get the complete independence. Probably with first proof of concept on the smaller models, then I will, for production, it's planned to go to the larger models. And let's see what will change in the next couple of months, because I think DevStral was just released, I don't know, last week or during the weekend or something like that, the new model DevStral 2. So it's especially made for agentic development. And some of the experiences from Agentic Foundation members are that it's really fast and good at tasks. I still didn't have time to test that, but that's why it's part of my plan in the pipeline. Okay, going back to see what our agents working on. Almost done. Okay, some documents are starting to pop up. We can start maybe reading some of them. So let's see what the security scanner found in this well-maintained project. Okay, security is good, but there are a couple of high-severity issues, or at least three. Three? No, sorry. Critical 0, high-severity 3. Yeah, medium 8, and low 12. So looks like there is still possibility for some improvements. I would be a good chap and probably will, at the end, when I'm done and back home, report this as an issue to the repo, because I started doing this now. I'm going, some of the members of the Agentic Foundation, oh, I created this new project, and I go there, scan that, and then attach the report from the quality engineering fleet, on the things that they found. And they found it useful because it usually surfaces some of the things that they miss in the usual, way of testing things. So let's see. Okay, low possibility, framework protected. Medium, broken authentication. Okay. Oh, sensitive data exposure. Where? There is possibility for some sensitive data exposure. Okay. XML external entity. Okay, that's good. Broken access control. Okay. Misconfiguration. Cross-site scraping. So, yeah, as you see, report went through different types of analysis, and it's not a small code base, right? I would say 200 something megabytes it reported when it downloaded the whole code base. It was 280 megabytes or something like that. And you had the question about the problem of processing that much data. You saw how much it processed in less than a couple of minutes. So these agents are really, even though they are started as a subtasks inside the Claude Code, they will initiate and work as a WebAssembly, WASMs, inside the memory and using the CPU. And when the agents are working, I think I already showed that last time, you can see high CPU consumption on that dev pod or that Docker container at that moment as that one is working. As the agents are finishing, the CPU goes down. And what's also a thing is depending on the operation, especially if they are creating like a new stuff, when creating a code, you can see the increased disk reads, especially because it needs to go a lot of time to disk and read the status of changes that were made. Okay, so, all others looks like finished. So, let's take a look at, it's still working. It's still working. It's creating, and it needs to create a summary report at the end. But as you see, reports are being created. This is like some of these are raw like data of what agents were doing and analyzing, and this is like a humanly readable form in MD format. That's why, they're creating deliverables for humans to read as expected still. But at some point, let's see how that will go. Any questions? Or I can create a small break. That question look like, yeah, I see something. Let me see. Okay. Not a question, just confirmation. Okay. Okay, hide controls. Let's see. Oh, this is the interesting, the complexity analysis. So we took a look a little bit at the security analysis, but let's see how the complexity looks like, because there is a number of files, at least this is top 10 files, I would say, with the high cyclomatic complexity in the code base. And then it goes in details and explains the decisions that it made. Okay, next one I see, code quality. Let's take a look what this one did. This was the QE code quality analyzer. So there is that one also. So this is fairly maintained repo, right? But there is still space for improvement. There is one God class. Maybe that's intended. I don't know. Maybe my agents are, just misinforming, but I think, surfacing some of these problems can be useful for a team to take a deeper look and maybe, reconsider some of the things. Okay. We are back. Looks like we are now all green. Are we all green? Almost. It's acceptable now. It was this, or did it load it? Or this is the new one. Let me see what it created, really. Sorry. Fix. Validation executive summary. This one. Okay. We are much better. Requirements are testable. After the last fixes, we are at, okay, we are good. So we will go to the next phase. Start a swarm of Cloud Flow, of Spark agents to work on second phase per Spark framework. Okay, it works. Per Spark framework. Follow the specification developed in the phase 1. And that was not okay. Not all, but follow. follow the specification developed in the phase 1 from, and now we need to say it where, and it's in the specifications here. So copy path, give it the path there. Now, with this, I grounded the agent, in this case, Claude Code, to first analyze these documents, but that will also provide the grounding from the swarm of the Spark agents when they start working on the pseudocode. I on purpose didn't write now that it should write the pseudocode because it already knows why. Somewhere, I think here in the Claude document that was generated, there is Spark. Let me see if I can find Spark here. So it has explanation that this project used this kind of approach. So that's why it knows this is the second phase. So it was enough to give it like a general, okay, work on the second phase. Now, I asked to initialize Claude Flow, or not Claude Flow, Spark agents, but they are part of the Claude Flow fleet. That's why it found that it needs to use the Claude Flow MCP server and to start the initialization of the swarm. And it's now starting different types of agents to work on writing different types of pseudocode documents based on the original specification created based on the original requirements we gave it in the beginning. So this is now the second phase. Let's say phase 0 was creating that initial PRD, MVP, product requirements documents that describes what we want to have in the application. Phase 1 is writing the specification from that. Phase 2 is writing the pseudocode based on the specification. And now it started 5 tasks in the background, different agents to work on different, this is covering this part of the requirements, M3, M4. And if we go back to the specification, we will find, and this provides the traceability again of the requirements during your, life cycle of developing new product. Any questions? Okay, while this fleet is creating, let's see what did this one. Oh, they're done. Oh, all is good. So we have now the code quality. And I don't want to, I didn't want to click on this. I wanted to switch the branch, create a new branch. This is Meetup demo. Or maybe it was better to create it like a Spark demo, but okay. Now let's see. This was the security scan. I think this is the complete. And I noticed there was a problem in the last couple of days. I think some problems with the tropic outages again. From time to time, it will happen that some of the tasks have a problem with compacting their internal dialogues. Yeah, this started happening recently. It's not something, okay, this one, I wanted to see this report. So, this is the this is the complexity. Why the complexity one? I expected all agents.
Question.
Yes?
Does this mean that every agent has his own context window and he...
Yes. Yes.
So there's no context window on the level of project, just there.
Yeah, each agent gets its own, context to work with. They're not depending on the context of the Claude Code, if that was your question, because we are spawning them from the Claude Code. Claude Code will start them as subtasks, but they have their own context as they're using. From time to time, they need to call the LLM for the reasoning still. Until, my reasoning bank, and memory patterns, grow enough, so they don't need to go and call. But when they need to go, I expect maybe then this type of problem is happening because it needs to, send a request and come back, and then maybe that internal session that it has, because sub-agents have separate sessions to reach the Cloud APIs. And let me, even ask them. Some agents had this problem. Analyze why. So let's see if it will. No, I just kill it. You see, now it's dead. So now I need to, copy what we were working on. So how I'm doing it now, because there is still no, transfer. I copy, what we're, let me maybe, find more. Oh, it even did, look what it did while it were running the fleet. So this, while it's working on this analysis, already learned, 4 new adaptive patterns. 12 neural models were active. Okay, performance was okay, meta-learning. It gained some meta-learning, nice. But now I need to restart the session. Let's see if that will help. To continue the previous session, for those that were not first time here, DSP in this case is Cloud Dangerous Script Permissions. That's the alias that I added in the local environment. So I don't need to type every time, Cloud Dangerous Script Permissions, because it's a lot to type. So I created an alias, DSP, Dangerous Script Permissions, and you can say -C if you want to continue previous session. So if you're working and I'm always working like in dev pod instances, they will start the Visual Code, and then each project that I'm working on has its own sessions. So, whenever, if something breaks, like now it broke, let me just copy this. Now I need to not continue the previous session because it doesn't know how to compact. They were changing something in the algorithm of how the application is compacting the information. So we were working on investigation of Apache Spark framework, and some of the agents had problems. Investigate why. Okay, that was good catch. Yeah, Whisper is also improving, but there was, I remember also a case, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, those Claude Flow outages when they were happening. I don't know who remember those, that half of the internet was down because of the outages. And at some moment, Whisper starting, I'm speaking in English, and it started returning in Polish. Not even Serbian or something like that, if I tried, like it knows my context, like I'm Serbian or something. No, we started, trying to even write the code or the examples in the Polish side. No, turn off, please. Not as much as Chinese Mandarin, but yes. Okay. Okay, 6 agents are still working here on creating pseudocode. Let's leave them. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Future large code bases. Oh, this is because we are analyzing the large code base. Looks like that was a problem because of it analyzed a lot of files and a lot of lines of code. That's why probably a couple of them choked. It was too much of them. So how would I now go when I find this kind of problem? I say, okay, split in smaller tasks. Separating batches of like a couple of hundreds instead of taking almost like 1,000 at once.
How does it know in
which batches? In which batches?
Which batch and how large those batches could be?
We are missing a part of planned analysis. Start again QE agents, but now split in smaller task batches so they don't choke on too much context. Nice. Easy as that. I'm even thinking, of paying for the subscription. This is still a free one. I'm limiting myself weekly how much I'm using it, but it's starting to prove more valuable. It saves a lot of typos. And sometimes even when you say, it knows like to skip and, really like to form the sentence properly. And it's proving it's, let's see, but I have a problem now. It hides like how the tasks are being spawned. I cannot show you even, let's see if I can. I think I can. There. No. Now it's, gave it initial prompt to scope itself when it starts doing the work. Okay? So this is how it will try to solve the problem. I just gave it like a direction. It decided how it wants to, tackle that problem in this case. So with Control O, you can open this, to see the thinking, or there is like, if there is too much, Control E expands all the, previous lines of the code. Okay, agents are running now in the background and doing so let's hope they don't choke this time on the too much code. Finishing, 4 of agents finished. Where that? Oh, one choked. So that's also a thing. Sometimes specification or the requirements are not split enough into digestible chunks. So in this case, probably some of these specifications we will need to ask it again to do it in a smaller batches. Let's see which one it choked on. So what will be missing in the final pseudocode? Because up until now, as we were talking, it created these files so far. So that was that validation updated file. So it created 11 new files with the pseudocode for certain parts of an application. This is for the authentication system. So this looks like a lot of SIFO. Like, huh? What do you say, guys? So, modeling using just the description of the data model, what are the indexes? So, yeah, when I saw this first time, it was like deja vu. In my previous company, we used to work with the code generator. And after a while, when I started talking with people, I realized, but I'm testing code generators for 10 years now almost, first with the SIFU, and then later in alchemy. So my testing background is mostly code generators and ML part inside, that we use for the chemistry prediction. So I was not even aware of the background that I possess until, some casual conversation with a colleague. So pseudocode for profiles. And there are also, a lot of, it's not just, but algorithms, somewhere it will put, no, in architecture, it will use a lot of mermaid diagrams. So the data flow and user journeys and those type of things. But for different parts, for each of the parts identified with the original specification, now it creates a pseudocode. And who is interested, this will be committed. I will not go into details. That's why, this repo is shared and everybody can take their own time and go and investigate the deliverables of the agents. So let's see if it finished. Oh, a couple of them choked. Yeah, finished but not done. So some agents had a problem. And again, problem with context choke. Can you check what was not finished and split the tasks into smaller batches, distribute to the new swarm of agents? Nice. Okay. Oh, this one didn't choke. It's continuing. So looks like that helped. While we are here, maybe I can show you the nightly learner thing. Let me see where. Let me find it here. So, maybe better to look for the description of the implementation. Let's see if I can find it here. Nightly there. Okay, no, this was the problem. No, that's no, that's not that. Better to search here than for the documentation. Night. Oh, there it is. This is the one that I was looking for. That's why I created this. So, system implemented a couple of days ago with one of the releases for the fleet is called the nightly learner system that comprise of these phases. How to initiate it, okay, collect the baselines, metrics, dashboards, cycles. No, I wanted, where is the nice diagram? I know there is somewhere a better diagram. Let me see if I can find nightly learner. Aha, architecture. I like my diagrams. So this is how the system should work. Those who like diagrams, data flow. So sleep scheduler with trigger in the idle time of your machine. Go and analyze the existing experiences that were captured. Then it will replay them multiple times. And in that way, it will probably learn some of the new patterns and synthesize them, later back into the memory. I think I have somewhere. Let me see. Yes?
Does it regenerate the code? Does it change things? Or is it?
No, saves them back in the database, but with this, let me show you. So it will save it back in the database. With a certain level of certainty. because each pattern, when it's being learned, there is confidence level for that pattern. And when the nightly learner improves certain pattern, it will save same pattern with increased confidence until it finds a meta pattern, meaning it managed to replay it until 100% certainty, and then that's like a meta pattern, and that's something that I want to show you now. Because doing some tests, let me just see for this. I was doing some tests, and this is like a world premiere because I'm doing some another project with the Agentic tribe as part of the Agentic Foundation. Some complete environment for development using agents, so fully automatic development environment. And in this case, I was testing implementing RuVector as, and it spawned like 5,000 agents in 1 millisecond. And prepared like to execute the tasks that should be allocated. Then it did allocation of 1,400 tasks to different types of agents. And this is like the distribution. And all tasks were completed in 0.3 seconds. This is the statistics. So which agent executed how many tasks with certain level of quality with the execution. And then in the end, and it all took like a pattern extraction time. Yeah, this is pattern extraction and learning. That's the 6th phase. That took like 2 milliseconds. And at the end, nightly learner consolidation run for the whole test, everything took 0.73, so less than a second. So to run this whole test, like a spin 5,000 agent, run the 14,000 tasks, and to find, so what this, so the nightly learner worked longest, 8 milliseconds, and consolidated this much patterns that were previously agent produced, and replayed this much, so 13,000 times, 30,000 type replays, found 3 meta patterns. So these 3 tasks are now with the confidence level 100%, meaning they become deterministic. And next time when the agent, before starting to work on a task, it will look in the database for this type of task. Okay, I have a pattern 100%. I call that one. I don't need to go to look in, ask LLM what I need to do because I know what I need to do. Yes?
Those patterns.
Do I use?
Can you use skills?
Skills?
No.
For patterns?
Yeah. When creating.
So my QE agents are using sometimes skills, and skills are calling agents. But for now, these patterns and learnings are happening only by agents. I need to investigate, and you're not the first one that asked me this question, and I still didn't investigate that. I forget to. Maybe you can, ping me tomorrow with an email to, remind me. But I need to see if there is a hook system that can be added to the skills, because I'm using hook system in the agents to trigger the learning and patterns. And also I wanted, I did some measurement of how fast execution of different implementations that I did, because some agents are running in memory. I originally used SQLite for persistence, and it provided me with almost like 1,000 tasks in a second throughput. But in memory had this much at the end. RuVector provided the faster, so even faster than the in-memory throughput. So yeah. This was, 6 days ago when I did this test. And then, I needed to start working on some other projects. So I need to go back to this project and really look more into the results. But, just, some of the things. Okay, this one really choked again. We need to give it a clean slate. We were working on the second phase per Spark framework and wrote pseudocode. Some of the agents didn't finish the process. Can you analyze what was done and continue from there? There was problems with too much context for some agents, split some tasks in smaller batches. It even corrected my wrong grammar. Tool is called Whisper. Okay, let's see what, it's now going to check. Okay, let's leave them check this. Let's see what these agents are doing now. Okay, everything finished now. And we have the consolidated summary. Nice. I always love the consolidated ones. So they give you, I could even ask for the executive summary if needed for different roles. So if you need to deliver this to your test manager, you will ask it to write for the test manager. If you need to deliver this to product manager, ask it to, tailor it to the product manager taste. If you need to deliver this to the chief executive officer or somebody else in the C-level, ask it to adapt to that. But here is an executive summary, whoever, with summary of the things that we already saw, some anti-patterns that were identified in the database, some potential security vulnerabilities. And is that critical? No, critical, only high severities. But this was like a critical one. Okay. Refactoring priorities. And that's also a nice thing. It gave suggestions. So how to improve your code base to reduce, in this case, complexity of certain classes, files, and, again, provides proposed prioritization based on the, in this case, general knowledge until I make it more specialized. Okay. Any questions? Let's see if the pseudocode will be. Okay, I need to try something different. Give me a second, because now it shows on some of the pseudocode and the previous document. Yeah, which one is the big one? This one, look. So, not only that one, each of them is over the line. So, whenever you see a file that is more than 1,000 lines, expect that the models will have problems processing it properly. That's why it now, read this much files and read them in full. So I need to tell it just to use the summary. I don't know what's happening. Probably problem with the model. If I check my email, because I'm subscribed to Anthropic, statuses, I would see, problem in Europe, or something like that. Maybe I'm the problem. Yeah, maybe the problem is between the keyboard and yeah. So wrote said, so didn't finish. What was done? So read only 50 lines from each file to get familiar with what was done. And I forgot that I can again dictate. Yeah, let's see if it will choke now again. Aha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 files. So probably it's all done then. I think we have them all. I just need a confirmation now. But I think we have all. Ooh, look at this. This looks interesting. Social graph specification, because we are creating a community social network, right? Graph-based follow relationship. Nice. But I will ask to use RuVector. It has better graphs. Oh no, Ru created RuVector, Postgres with RuVector, or RuVector on top of Postgres. So there is a package, Docker image that can be downloaded that provides Postgres, but with the RuVector engine, meaning the database self-improves while it works. Okay, so complete pseudocode for social graph. Nice. Are we done? Okay. End of markers, tail. It's checking now. It not to choke itself, you know. It's trying to be really careful now. Oh no, it's reading. Okay, just the last part of the document. My bad. Okay. Any other repo to analyze, or should we? I will, provide this as information back to the Apache Spark. So, to be a good contributor to the open source. Let's see if we are done. Next meetup, we will continue with the third phase of the Spark framework, writing the architecture. Let's see if it will keep choking or they will solve the problem. I don't know if we will have this year, if we say Tuesday in 2 weeks, that's the December 30th. That's close to the new year. I can try to have a meetup, but I will not promise publicly yet. So, I will just say I will try to add one more in this year. That will be then the 3rd in December. Pseudocode complete. But I need to ask it to do the analysis now, the pseudocode, compared to the specification. And that will be again a task to choke on. So maybe maybe I will leave it. Okay, I think this 1 hour was enough for the online crowd and for anybody who will watch this later. I will commit the code, merge everything to the main branch, and share the links with whoever applied for this meetup using the Luma link. If you didn't apply and you would like to get some of the links about the stuff that I was mentioning during this, just send me an email through, find me on LinkedIn, Dragan Spiridonov, and there is only one agentic quality engineer with that name there. Okay, have a nice evening, everybody. Until next time. Stop recording.